Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news update, we've got the latest on Kazuchika Okada's pending free agency. We've also got a bit of an injury update on Seth Rollins, and also we've got news on Samoa Joe and others who are doing particularly well in the television ratings right now. All that and more coming up now. All right, let's start this off with a little bit of news about Kazuchika Okada. So last week, after we published our last video, Okada announced that he would not be re-signing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, there was a few reported reasons for why this would, but the main thing was money. Obviously, there are very lucrative contracts being given out to wrestlers in the United States for WWE and AEW right now, and the Rainmaker would clearly like to cash in on that a little bit. It was also noted that the Japanese yen is down right now. So at 36, and, you know, he's got a lot left in the tank. But this is an opportunity to cash in for a big money contract, and he's going to take it. So in terms of, is he going to end up in AEW? Is he going to end up in WWE? If it was known, we wouldn't tell you, because that would, or at least, you know, we wouldn't tell you in these videos. Maybe me and Jeff might discuss it, but that would ruin the surprise. So, and the point of these videos is so that you get the news you need, the news you want, but none of the spoilers. So, for this situation, however, nobody knows if Okada is going to go to WWE or AEW, and also TNA Wrestling has been listed as a distant third candidate who could possibly land Okada. As much as I enjoyed Hard to Kill on Saturday, I don't really see TNA landing Okada to a full-time contract. So there's lots of different things at play here. I think Okada would like to go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling at least a little bit. We know that AEW would be fine with that. And if he signed with AEW, he could also go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. However, we don't know what this new WWE under Triple H and Nick Khan, would they possibly grant a wrestler like Okada permission to wrestle a few dates a year for New Japan Pro Wrestling? Would they permit him to remain living in Japan and work limited dates for WWE? We know that WWE under Vince McMahon would definitely not do something like that, but this is a new company now, and they've got different policies around these things. But in terms of, is he going to be in AEW? Is he going to be in WWE? Is he going to pop up in the Royal Rumble? Is he going to appear at AEW Revolution? Nobody knows. So you're just going to have to wait and see. The other thing with WWE, they are very careful to keep things secret these days. We saw that with CM Punk and how they kept his return a surprise. So I don't think there's going to be much out there about where he's going to sign before he ends up actually showing up in that place. The next biggest story here is the injury to Seth Rollins. He suffered this injury while wrestling Jinder Mahal in the main event of Raw last week. If you watched the match, you probably saw he started favoring his left knee, and then there was a shot of him at the very end of the show when he was getting his hand raised, and he had a very worried look on his face, like he knew he might have just injured himself pretty bad. So it is a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. However, that doesn't actually tell us a whole lot about how long Seth Rollins is going to be out for, or if he's actually going to work through the injury, which appears to be a possibility as well. You remember MJF, the whole run up to AEW World's End, he had a torn pec, I want to say. He had a torn something, and he just gutted through it for about 6 weeks, kind of doing limited stuff, but then doing like a full match with it against Samoa Joe on the pay-per-view. So it's not clear. Seth Rollins could possibly do the same thing through WrestleMania. It depends on, like, how much of a tear are we talking about here? Is this going to require surgery? Can he heal it without surgery? At this point, it's not clear. However, he is going to address his status as the world heavyweight champion to, I believe it's going to kick off Raw tonight. They're going to do it right at the beginning. So if they need to change storylines as a result of the injury, it's going to happen first thing to start off this week's Raw. All right, so next up, AEW, well, Tony Khan announced recently that AEW is bringing back the ranking system. So if you remember, AEW from the very beginning all the way up to just before All Out 2022, they would publish the top 5 in each division in the men's, women's, and tag team. After All Out, these rankings went away. So it was brought up on the Brian and Vinny show. Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Figure 4 Weekly, mentioned that he heard it was actually CM Punk who convinced Tony Khan to get rid of the rankings in AEW. Now, the possible reason why AEW is bringing back its ranking system is due to fan response to the Continental Classic. Fan response to the sports-centric approach of having a tournament, clear benefits to winning and cons to losing, like clear motivation for wrestlers to win matches and match results actually mattering. A lot of fans had a positive reaction to how that all came together with the Continental Classic. So it has sent the message to AEW, and Tony Khan has mentioned this in interviews. Look, the feedback we got from fans is that sports-centric, they want this. So rankings, making sure that wins and losses matter. Now, I think a lot of the complaints about the ranking system the last time AEW went with it was kind of more how it was approached, because you'd have these wrestlers who would go on long winning streaks on AEW Dark, but they'd be wrestling local talent on each of these shows. But now with all just the matches on Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, I think it might actually force AEW to really commit to a more sports-centric booking approach, and making sure that title shots are given to worthy contenders and people have to win a bunch of matches to get title shots. And so we'll see if this is just the first step, I guess the second step after the Continental Classic, to a more sports-centric approach to AEW booking. Okay, I just want to mention a little bit of a pattern I noticed in the television ratings in recent weeks. Well, actually, just the last 2 weeks in AEW Dynamite regarding Samoa Joe. So, if you're interested in more detailed information about television ratings, I really recommend the site WrestleNomics. They send out very informative graphs that really make it easy to see who are the wrestlers that have segments that are doing well in the ratings and who are the wrestlers that have segments that are dying in the ratings. I was able to notice one clear trend in AEW Dynamite over the last 2 weeks in that fans are really into Samoa Joe as champion. His segment on AEW Dynamite 2 weeks ago, where he came out, he's dressed all dapper, he's got the championship, and he laid down the rules for how people are going to get title shots against him. They're going to have to, basically fill out an application, and they'll be judged on their body of work. So we also saw Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page come out during that promo. And then Hook came out and revealed that Hook and Samoa Joe are going to wrestle for the world title the following week. So that promo segment caused a very noticeable spike in the ratings. People were into this. They weren't changing the channel to other things, and they were changing the channel to wrestling from something else that they were watching. Then this week on AEW Dynamite, last week on AEW Dynamite, the last episode of Dynamite, Samoa Joe versus Hook did a very big number in the main event. It went well over the average AEW Dynamite main event, showing that once again, people super into Samoa Joe. And I just think there was a lot of interest in Samoa Joe versus Hook as well. Even though I think everybody knew there was no chance of Hook winning this match, the idea of Hook versus Samoa Joe, they're both great, but you put them together, that's an intriguing matchup, and clearly people wanted to see it. other segments that have done really well in the television ratings over the last week. There was a match between Bianca Belair and Bayley on SmackDown that did very, very well. It did much better than matches or segments in that time slot or in that segment, that quarter hour do. Also, a promo segment between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley did very well on last week's Raw, and we actually talked about that on the latest episode of Zen and the Art of Watching Wrestling. So that's who is drawing big television ratings these days. And then in terms of who is doing well in terms of selling merchandise, that is gone right back to CM Punk. If you remember, we talked a bit about this last week. R-Truth was topping the WWE shop.com merchandise sales with his Judgment Day merchandise. Well, now for the week ending January 19th, it's kind of gone back to what merchandise was selling before with CM Punk's 2 t-shirts there. At the very top, Jey Uso's Yeet shirts are selling very well as well. And Rhea Ripley getting in there at number 6, Randy Orton, number 7, Bray Wyatt sells a lot of merchandise as well. So, and then, the Stone Cold 316 shirt, well over 25 years old at this point, coming in at number 10. So I don't know if this is a case of maybe they sold out of the Judgment Day merchandise, so it was selling less, but it went from number 1 on the charts all the way to off the charts. So I assume something funky is going on there, where maybe there's a wait list or only certain sizes are available. But anyway, up on your screen there is the reported top merchandise sales of the week. And in a previous video, we talked about how New Japan Pro Wrestling was doing really well ticket sales wise for their Windy City Riot show in Chicago on April 12th. They have sold out their current configuration for the show. So if they move some things around, open up some other sections, they can probably sell some more tickets. But 3,530 tickets sold to this show. That's very good for a New Japan show. Much better than they've been doing in recent years. So a lot of fan interest to the 2 big matches that are going to take place on that show. We'll have Tetsuya Naito versus Jon Moxley. Now, if Naito is still the IWGP champion at that time, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, that could be a title match. It could be Naito defending against Moxley. And there will also be a match, Hiromu Takahashi versus Mustafa Ali. Takahashi is not the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion right now, but he basically could always end up with that title at any time. So who knows? Maybe that match will be for that title. But good news there for New Japan Pro Wrestling in terms of their shows in the United States. All right, let's go over some of the upcoming shows that you might want to check out. We've got WWE Monday Night Raw tonight from the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Up on your screen now, you can see that WrestleTix has that show at 8,113 tickets distributed. So not bad, but not a big show. Let's see what they've got lined up for the card. So we will have CM Punk and Cody Rhodes going face to face on tonight's show, which should be interesting. Cody Rhodes wants to finish his story. CM Punk wants to do the same thing. They both want to win the Royal Rumble. So we'll see what they have to say to each other on tonight's Raw. Also tonight, we will see Ivy Nile take on Valhalla. It's not often that Valhalla gets in the ring, but her and Ivy Nile will be going at it tonight. Also, Ivar takes on Chad Gable. So it's the Vikings and the Alpha Academy. They're really getting at it lately. Well, I guess Ivy Niles in the Diamond Mine. Big match here between world title contenders Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Drew McIntyre is one of those who wants to finish his story. He wants to win a world title at a WrestleMania with fans. Damian Priest, of course, in McIntyre's eyes, Damian Priest cost him the world heavyweight title with his attempted cash-in. McIntyre was facing Rollins. And to kick off the show tonight, Seth Rollins is going to address his future. So WWE.com has written about it. This Monday, World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins will address the WWE Universe, kicking off Raw in style. What's next for the Visionary and what does his future hold? Find out this Monday. So no mention of the injury he suffered facing Jinder Mahal last week. So we'll see. And like we said earlier in this video, it's not really clear. It's not clear if he's going to take any time off. He has been removed from advertising for some house shows, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to gut it out on television up past WrestleMania. So we'll just see. We'll find out tonight on Raw. Also, The Miz will take on Dominic Mysterio, and this is part of the ongoing storyline with R-Truth and Judgment Day. Miz and R-Truth have been a tag team on recent shows. However, R-Truth seems to not be able to wrap his head around how that works since he's a member of Judgment Day. And also, so on Tuesday, January 23rd in Japan, it will be the Road to the New Beginning tour. They are running a show from Corkin Hall. And actually, it's a main event I think many of you want to check out. So in the main event of this show coming up for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion El Desperado is going to defend against Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Also on this show, Master Wato versus Sho. And then you've got the members of LIJ versus the Just Five Guys team in tag team action. You've got Togi Makabe, Shota Umino, and Tama Tonga up against the House of Torture team of Takahashi, Ren Narita, and Evil. And we've got Tomoaki Hanma, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada going up against Kosei Fujita, Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and Zack Sabre Jr. of TMDK. We've got the Gorillas of Destiny, Jado, El Phantasmo, Hikuleo going up against Bullet Club's Taiji Ishimori, Chase Owens, and Kenta. We've got a big multi-person tag match with members of United Empire going up against the Bullet Club War Dogs. And we got Taguchi teaming with Murashima and Yo teaming with Shoma Kato in the opening match. That's from Corkin Hall. And that's going to do it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button. We'll have a new video up tomorrow, and Jeff and I will be up with a full show next weekend. So thanks again.